Thank you so much.
Of course.
But I think we'll take him home now.
Jason can't go home now. Your dad needs rest and care, but don't worry, I'm gonna make sure that he gets that.
Well, we'll take care of him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean...
He can't leave without my permission.
What? Says who?
The court. When they granted me guardianship, he became my full responsibility.
Well, I was captivated when I read this script. The bad guardian follows a woman, Lee, who is her father has been kind of abducted in a sense and taken into a permanent guardianship when they're on vacation and he falls and hits his head. He's taken to the hospital and then a guardian is put in place for him. Myself and my husband and my children are all kind of affected by this event and trying to figure out how to get him out. The story just seemed unbelievable to me, first of all, that this is happening all across our nation and that there's this corruption within this guardianship. It's a $2.9 billion business. So I was just fascinated to learn all this and to see how people would struggle with this. And of course we know the stories of like Britney Spears and Wendy Williams that are going through these conservatives or guardianships. But in their cases, they're high profile women that are trying to, young and trying to get themselves out of it. In the case of our story, it's more about a small town family that just doesn't have the money to fight the big fight against the corruption that happens in a lot of these cases. And how someone can move in and take over a family member and take over everything from their medical decisions to their bank accounts, to their home, their property, everything. And so I really like the idea of shedding light on this and maybe helping people find some information to find a way out of it. This was all brand new information for me, except for maybe I was aware of the Britney Spears situation, but that seemed very different. That was her own father coming in and putting her in a conservatorship, and then her trying to break out of that and the whole Free Britney thing. But it was almost like the opposite of this story in a sense. But it's just, that's the only kind of understanding I had of a guardianship before the movie. I mean, I definitely think there's a place for guardianships. It's a $2.9 billion business for a reason, right? There's definitely people out there that need someone to advocate for them or make decisions for them in healthcare reasons, or they don't have a family member that can help out. But there's, anywhere there's a lot of money, there's power and greed and corruption. And I feel like that's the story we're telling. Yeah, I really hope that this movie does help people kind of be aware if they have to go into guardianship, if they're, it especially happens to senior citizens. So if a senior parent of yours or family member, goes into the hospital, to just prevent against even temporary guardianships that can become permanent, if you're willing to take care of the person, you really have to fight for that. This movie sort of reminded me a little bit of Erin Brockovich, about like a small town woman trying to like fight the system. So that's what I really loved about playing this character, Lee, was trying to, she's trying to navigate this big, crazy world that's been going on for a while and nobody's really cracked the case. And so here she is trying to save her family. Lala was so much fun. We did a lot of TikToks on the side and had some fun together. And yeah, she was wonderful to work with. Real professional and super fun. Well, it's funny because she is like, well, first of all, she's tall and she's very glam. Her hair is very pulled back, very, in a sort of severe way. And she's got all this makeup and fancy outfits. And there I was sort of in my diner dress and scrubby sweater and, really no makeup and like loose hair, kind of just bumbling through it, trying to figure it out. And just having this dynamic between the two of us was, but I mean, I think we're a lot more alike off camera, obviously, but on camera, it was fun to play that dynamic. We have a bunch of stuff in development at Lifetime. I do have a contract with Lifetime to do a few movies for them, so still looking for the next one. Not sure if it'll be Christmas or true crime, so just still navigating what's next. The Bad Guardian was actually brought to me. It's one of the few I haven't produced. I usually produce the movies that we do for Lifetime, and this was one I stepped in as an actor for hire. So it was kind of fun to just like be a little hands-off, kind of go in, do my part, and leave. You know, not be involved with the post or the pre-production. So directing myself is very difficult. I started out doing that because it was the only way I could get jobs directing. Was I'll be in it, but I get to direct it. So a lot of the time I had to tie that to my contract. So now I'm at a place where I can direct and I can act. So I love breaking it up because it just gives me a little bit more space to be creative in both ways. You know, it gives me a little bit more time to sleep, maybe. I just hope people will be able to advocate for themselves and their families a little bit better, knowing some of this information. I mean, it's definitely a fictional story, but there are some elements of truth in there. So if anyone can learn anything from it to protect themselves and their family, I would love that.